Good morning, everybody, and thank you very much to Les Amis de Jean. We'll be hearing from you later on this morning, I believe. Thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. You all look very well after last night. Just want to say thank you again to our hosts, to the Quebec Guild Local 602 for organising this, and of course to the sponsors that paid for our wine. It was great, and I thought the guy Craig from Canada was very charming, considering we had his prize in pieces in the next room. It was a really good moment, but yeah, I think we'll remember that one for a long while. So here we are, 3 years on from the last IOC in Oslo. It's gone very quickly and things have changed quite a lot. And if you recall, if you just think back, there was a certain amount of despondency when we were there in Oslo. A lot of orchestras from all over the world were under severe pressure, really severe pressure, because what we were seeing at that time was a kind of fallout from the worldwide economic downturn that had taken place just a few years before. There was a knock-on that was affecting orchestras across the world. And we put together, you'll recall, those of you that were there, the Oslo Call, and in my little piece in the front of the agenda, there's a quote from it. And also I was looking at it again this morning, and it ends by calling upon political decision makers to honour their responsibility to the arts and to culture and to provide orchestras with the means necessary to pursue their missions and contribute to and enhance artistic, social and economic life. Now, orchestras across the world have delivered on what the people that fund us, that fund the orchestras, want. Education work, community work is now part of every orchestra's remit. And the musicians genuinely really like doing this. They really welcome this. We've delivered, but it's amazing how that message doesn't get through. Just recently, one of the former Minister of Culture, before Theresa May became Prime Minister in the UK and sacked him, went to visit one of our chamber orchestras. And he said, oh, this is all wonderful, absolutely charming. You must get out into the community, into schools and do this work. I think, hang on a minute, we've been doing this for years. You know, they don't really sort of follow what's happening. They just speak in platitudes. But we've got here 3 years on. Generally, I think things are slightly better, only slightly, I'll emphasise that. But what we are seeing, while orchestras maybe might be a bit more secure, pay has stagnated or even fallen, and the conditions of work are certainly not as good as they were maybe 10 years ago. And as members of the musicians' unions who work on behalf of our orchestra players, we've got a big task ahead to recover the ground that we've lost because of the recession and because of this attitude from the funders that we should just look after ourselves, that we shouldn't get any sort of special treatment. But as I said, I don't think it's all doom and gloom. And we're not seeing the fallout from recession anymore. Economies have recovered. And I think that we might maybe get a more optimistic message at the end of this conference. So that's going to be the challenge to you. You have to let us know what's happening in your orchestras. We need to know what's happening around the world so that we can take this back to all our colleagues and we can formulate FIM policy over the next period. So before I finish, just a few housekeeping notes. Now, we hope that the panellists are going to be succinct and to the point and quite short, so that you'll be allowed to ask questions and make your own points at the end of each panel. There are 2 microphones you see in the centre aisle here. So if you want to ask a question, just walk forward and stand by the microphone, and the moderator of the panel will call you, hopefully in the right order, to ask your question. Just a note, we have a lot of people here this morning. And the organisers are quite worried about coordinating the lunch and everything. So we're cutting the first panel after the coffee break short by 15 minutes. It's still going to be an hour and a half instead of an hour and 45 minutes. So I think that should be enough. And then at the end of the day, we're cutting that session by 15 minutes, 10 or 15 minutes. And that's Luke will do that, just to make sure you can all prepare yourself for the concert, the gala concert tonight and the dinner afterwards. So I just want to welcome our friends and colleagues, the managers, the orchestra managers have joined us. For each of our 4 international orchestra conferences, we've had members of management here, and we're really pleased that you're with us and you can take part in our discussions. The format of this conference, as many of you know, is that the first half, the first 3 sessions of the conference are for everybody, orchestral musicians and the managers and people who work full-time for the unions. And the second part is for the musicians on their own. so they can let off steam, if you like, and then we'll tell everybody what happens. Only one thing that you might not know, I don't know if you had it yet, but the Wi-Fi code for this room is Delta 123. Delta with a capital D, 123, no space. So if you haven't got Wi-Fi, that's it. So that's enough for me from now. You'll be hearing from me later. And it's now my very great pleasure to introduce the president of the American Federation of Musicians, Ray Hare.